Hey everybody, in this video we're going to share a great way to get around Montevideo, Uruguay if you're short on time.
Spoiler alert, it is a hop-on, hop-off bus.
Hey everybody, I'm Sean.
And I'm Deb.
And welcome back to the channel. So we've been doing a series on our time in Montevideo, Uruguay, and we lost quite a bit of time on this 30-day trip, and so we decided to do a hop-on, hop-off bus because it's a great way to be able to see the city in a very short period of time.
And at this point, we only had 2 days left in the city, and if you've seen our other videos on Montevideo, well, we won't get into it.
We're rushed.
But sickness happened, and so we actually didn't have a lot of time to explore.
Right.
So it turned out to be a good way to get out and explore the city kind of all in one day and see more of it. And the hop-on, hop-off bus was $25 each, so it seemed really reasonable. It has two routes in Montevideo, the center tour, and that kind of goes more inland and through neighborhoods and stuff. And then there's also the rambla
I think
tour.
The central tour is more kind of like the downtown. I mean, it's like the old town, touristy areas. Yeah.
And once you pay your $25, you can ride both. There's actually one stop that's like an exchange. And if you want to trade buses and get on the rambla, which we did, you can do that. So we chose to start at the very beginning down in Old Town, and we hadn't seen much of it when we had stopped on the cruise, thinking we'll have a
Lots
whole
of
month
time to go visit. Yeah.
So we went down and we did some walking around, which was really nice. It was actually quiet. It was pretty early in the morning, and then we found a cute little coffee shop, Federacion.
Yeah, and it was nice. It was kind of like there was an outdoor seating area, and then you go into the coffee shop, but then kind of in the back there was like this little courtyard area that was nice. So yeah.
So we got our coffees. I had a pound cake with blueberries.
Right. Yep. And I had a cinnamon roll, which was really good, and then two couple of coffees, and we just kind of hung out for a little while because what we were doing was trying to kill a little bit of time while the downtown kind of woke up.
Yeah. Yep.
And so it was a nice place to just sit and relax, get some coffee and a sweet.
And then we made it back down to the Mercado del Puerto.
Yeah.
And we had seen this when we got off on the cruise, and it was packed.
Yeah. When we got off on the cruise, I think everybody from the cruise went into that little area. So you're walking through and it is tight. Like you couldn't get a place to sit. It was
And so then when
packed.
we went back down, when we were doing the bus, it was 10 o'clock in the morning when they opened. Yeah. And so it was very quiet. We got some good footage.
Then we could walk through and show everything.
And it is basically like a large, almost, I don't know, like warehouse type building.
I think it was
a large building.
So I showed the ceilings in the video because I think it used to be like an old shipbuilding.
Oh, okay.
Because it's right on the port. And I think it was either a ship building or a ship repair or storage building because it's really high ceilings for boats and ships to come
And once you walk in, there's coffee shops, there's all sorts of restaurants. Yeah, it's quite a...
And it ranges from just walking up and you could get an empanada and walk away, or there are fancy restaurants in there as well. And there's I show a yerba mate shop that's all just like tons and tons of really nice mate cups, and so it's cool, like shopping, little shopping district.
And so that timing worked out really good. We kind of explored through there while it was quieter, and then the first point from our hop-on, hop-off bus was only a couple blocks away.
Right there, yeah, it was real close.
And we had a short wait, I feel like, for that first bus.
10 minutes, maybe 15 minutes total. Yeah, and the nice thing is the hop-on, hop-off bus has a website that you can open up on your phone, and you can see the buses moving around in real time.
So we knew when it was coming, which is convenient.
Yeah.
Yep.
So
and that jump-started our new journey.
Yep.
Okay, so we had kind of knew from watching the weather forecast that Friday was probably going to be a little bit rainy.
Yeah.
And it was. We started on our hop-on, hop-off bus, and we actually went for quite a while. And
we got lucky in the morning.
Yeah, it was pretty nice, no rain, and then the sprinkles came.
It has it's a double-decker bus like most of them are, and the top part has a retractable roof. So they had the retractable roof open for the first, I don't know, I feel like maybe hour before, maybe 45 minutes before it started to rain. Yeah.
So, because we sat in the sprinkles for a while and we were fine with that.
Just a little bit. Like it wasn't like raining, just every once in a while.
But it felt good, I remember, because it was hot.
Right. And the guy came up to close the roof and I was like, oh, I was actually kind of enjoying it a little bit. But
except for by then it kind of was raining.
He was right on. He like not within maybe 3 or 4 minutes after he shut that roof, it started raining.
So we had a little bit of the open air, so that was very nice. So we had originally thought, okay, if we can manage, we were going to skip any of like the shopping stops or anything like that. And we were just going to, there was a couple parks, there was a botanical garden.
Yeah.
So we had planned on getting off and doing those.
We'd already been to the malls. And we talked a little bit about those in our other videos. And we've seen the shopping districts already. So we'd already done that kind of stuff. Now we just wanted to see more of the city. And the nice thing about it too is, like they do on many of the hop-on hop-offs, they give you headphones, you can plug it in, and you can listen to kind of a narrated like cultural tour of the city. So
the day since the rain came, it was fine. It turned out just to be a relaxing day. Yeah. We just mostly stayed on the bus. We got off. We did get off at one mall to stop and have lunch.
We did.
And then got back on the next bus that came around. And it was just relaxing. There was a lot of like nice architecture, and it was kind of fun just, driving by
hearing
taking videos of the it was good.
It's a really good way. I mean, I get people are like, oh, it's so touristy, blah, 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 blah. Yeah, but we're there to hear and listen and learn. And it's
we saw parts of Montevideo we probably wouldn't have seen otherwise.
We wouldn't have. And we saw things. Like I remember at the end, we were driving by, I'm like, there was a cat cafe. Like, I don't know, if we'd had more time, I would have taken her to a cat cafe. But yeah, so you get to see all kinds of things that maybe you wouldn't find just wandering around by yourself. So.
Okay. So the Central Tour, which we took first, it does start, as we said, in Old Town, which is also the port market. So it's down on the ocean. It's where the cruise ports are. It's where the Bookie Bus, which is the ferry that we took, is going to land down there too. So we started there, and then it's kind of as you go along the way. You're listening as you're going on your earphones, so you know what you're passing.
Right.
So they would slow down at these things because you could get off at them too. But we just took it as a joyride for the day.
Listening, and like we would, we talked to each other like, oh, that's kind of interesting,
And so we passed the Independence Square, so that was kind of nice. The Municipal Palace. So that was good too.
That whole area down there, it had a ton around in it. So
we wound up driving through kind of their business district too, I remember.
The financial district,
we passed the National Library.
And that was huge.
And then the Legislative Palace, I thought that was very huge too. That was very nice.
Really big. And I feel like I got from the tour that the Legislative Palace is kind of like what our Congress is. So pretty cool.
So when we did pass that, they kind of went around in a square, so we saw the whole thing, and it was pretty cool too.
Neat.
So like we said earlier, there were several shopping stops. So if you were there stopped on a cruise and you just wanted to do some shopping, the first shopping stop that it did, we didn't get out at it because we're not really buying anything. Maybe we could have looky-looed a little bit, but it was more of like a little shopping mall type thing. It's a small market, but it was geared towards tourists. So a lot of souvenir shops and stuff.
And it's a good point. I think, if you're coming to Montevideo on a cruise and you're like, how do we see Montevideo in a day? I think it's a great, it's a great option to do. Probably, I don't know, depending on how much time you have, that central loop is probably the best way to do it.
Yeah. Unless you love the ocean and want to go to the Rambla.
And the Rambla, it's beautiful, and we'll talk about that in a second, but the Rambla tour gives you a full view of the ocean.
Now, one of the most popular excursions you can do in Montevideo is actually a wine tour or a wine and lunch tour. And I imagine we didn't do it off the ship because we were going to be here a month, and we had already planned on our own booking that, but that's another story. That's okay. So after all your stops and everything you can do, so before it actually gets back to Old Town, it stops at Parque Rodo.
Right.
And Parque Rodo, that I kind of wish we would have stopped and got some video of that. But when our bus stopped, the very next bus was taking off for the switch bus, and they said it would be an hour and a half before.
Until the next bus
And we were
came.
getting the on and off rain, and by then, like, I was still healing, and so we were tired. So we just made the decision we were just going to jump on the Rambla bus.
He told us, he said, you're better off to go ahead and get on the Rambla bus now, take the Rambla tour, come back here, and if you want to explore the park more, then do it after that. So we didn't end up doing that, but it might be a good, depending on if you want to do both circuits, if you want to do the Central Circuit and then the Rambla Circuit, you might, when you get to the drop-off point where the buses change, ask the person, when's the next bus going to come? Because if you're going to be, spending a half an hour in the park and then waiting for an hour for the next bus, that just wouldn't be ideal. Yeah, especially if it's raining.
So the Rambla bus, again, we just took it as a joyride. We didn't get off anywhere.
The Rambla bus was awesome. It was just it's like an oceanside tour.
It was just an oceanside tour. Yeah. It goes by the Montevideo sign, and they do stop, and you can get out and get pictures, but we didn't stop. We had already taken our own pictures down there.
The Montevideo sign was like a 15-minute walk from our apartment.
Very close.
So, yeah.
But it was nice because from where we were in Pocitos, it went quite a bit further north.
Yeah,
and
quite a bit further.
And so we got to see more along the ocean, and we
different neighborhoods. We didn't see.
And we saw one neighborhood, and we both were like, "Hey, that neighborhood looks like our vibe."
Like this would have been great for us to stay. But it was probably 25 minutes away from Pocitos.
It was much further out, and already in Pocitos, we were about 25 minutes from Old Town even.
Yeah. So it probably wasn't like because you probably weren't looking for apartments that far out. Yeah. But we got out there and like, man, this is a cute little neighborhood, tons of coffee shops. Lots
when we
of
didn't get out, we drove around.
We didn't, correct. Yeah. When we got out there on the bus.
Yes.
Yeah. We looked around and like, this is great. This is really kind of nice.
We did like that.
Yeah.
And so then it was pretty nice. We were coming back into town, and the bus was supposed to stop at one of the malls that wasn't far from us.
Punta Carretas, which is...
No, the other mall that was closer to us.
Oh, okay. Well, it was supposed to go all the way down there.
Yes, well, that's where it was heading, Punta Carretas.
Right.
But it was supposed to stop at the Montevideo Mall.
Oh, it was supposed to, and it blew by it.
And we were like, are they turning? Are they turning?
Yeah,
and he just kept going. So then we went downstairs and we asked, the driver, like, when's the next stop? Because we thought it was going to stop at that little mall near us. And he said, because Sean said, we're staying in Pocitos. And he said, well, we can pull over. And we're like, okay, great.
Which is, it's unusual. Because usually the hop-on, hop-off bus people, you can hop on, hop off, but only at their stops. And so if they had stopped at the Montevideo Mall, it would have been like, I don't know, a 10-minute walk for us to our apartment. Since they were going all the way to Punta Carretas, it probably would have been another 25-minute walk back. And they dropped us 5 minutes from our apartment, like right there.
And I will say it probably wasn't a big deal for them because from the moment that we got on the bus that morning, it was empty. There were so many empty seats.
Yeah, so we went on a Friday.
Which we thought, okay, we'll maybe miss the cruise people.
That's what we were hoping, because I was like, man, we only had Friday and Saturday left because we were flying out on Sunday. And so and
then on Saturday was March 1st, and they were having the inauguration of the new president.
Inauguration, yeah.
And so our thought was the traffic's probably going to be crazy, and we would just avoid that and go on Friday.
So Friday it worked out. And I mean, I think the fact that it was a little on the rainy side probably maybe drove people away from doing touristy things, but it worked perfect for us. We never had a full bus. We always could pick whatever seats. When we were coming back down the Rambla, back toward our apartment, we got the very front seats in the top of the bus. So we could, you basically have the full view of everything.
Like a panoramic.
So it was really nice. Yeah. So, I mean, I loved it. Again, hop-on hop buses, I've always kind of looked at them as like, ooh, there's all the tourists. I kind of get it. They're kind of fun to do, and you get a good cultural...
You stop at every one of the stops you want to stop at and get out. And if you don't want to stop and you just want to sightsee around the city, that's great too.
Pick and choose what you want to do. So I thought it was pretty cool. So That's it. I mean, we enjoyed again doing our hop off at Montevideo. I think we're kind of more open now to being like, maybe this is something we do in different cities. So if you got questions about it, it is, I'll show the map so you can kind of see a little bit about what the routes look like. But if you got a question about where it goes, we'll, post a comment. We'll do our best to kind of answer those questions. But otherwise, be sure to like and subscribe.
And thank you for joining us.
We'll see you in the next video.